happy news. The log is not broken. There's the prop shaft, which I've just put out today. No serious wear points on it, not broken, not bent, not obviously bent. I'm going to check that obviously. And here's the log. And when I unscrewed that bit off the end, it's a bearing carrier. I mean, it was loose anyway, so there is some issue there. Obviously it's got lots of grit and stuff in it at the moment. I think that's a bearing carrier. I think that must be a bearing in there. We'll see, I'll investigate further. But there is no other place to carry a bearing. Stern tube is bronze and it's in great shape. Looks like it anyway. And this floor is what secured the whole thing in, and it was just loose. All I had to do was just trim round the tab there and it just fell out. The fiberglass tabbing. Pulled the whole lot out. So the part of it that actually passes through the hull is only about that much. So I've got to think now how I'm going to put all this back in so that that leak doesn't happen anymore. I'm starting to think, I mean, the packing that was in there around this was so loose that you could get hold of it, as you saw on the last video, get hold of it and shake it all around. So it's possible that it just needs to be repacked with the right stuff. Probably needs a bit more than that. I don't know, I've got to think about it. There's the old. Got a bit of Pirate FM going on up here. So there's the hole, and you can see the marks there from where the floor was glassed in. And just under that pipe, I'll just move the pipe. You see it's all in a terrible state down there. It all goes out. So I just need to think about how I'm going to reinstall that. The good news is at the moment it seems there are no broken parts. You know, I was looking at the cost of stern tubes and prop shafts. I can't afford that at the moment, that's for sure. So I'm glad that stuff is in good shape, or usable shape anyway. So I've got to do a bit of research. I'll find out what the best way to reinstall that. I'm a little bit surprised that the stern tube at the outboard end is only, it appears at the moment anyway, when I found it, it's only held in place by that bearing carrier that screws onto the outside of the hull. It can't be right, can it? Don't know. Anyway, not surprised it was leaking. Quick update then. Got a bearing on order for the stern gear. It's reinstalled and I've fiberglassed in well, the original floor actually, just cut down a little bit. Also made a hatch, which at the moment, oh, there it is. Made a hatch and a little bit of beading around it. Not finished yet, not tidied up at all. But there's the new floor, or the same floor really, just glassed in. I've just got to tidy up in there and trim things back a bit. That'll be sweet. It's nice to have a cockpit back again. Yeah, I've got to make that hatch properly. Let's just something to fill the hole for now. I have almost finished stripping the deck. All the grab rails are off. All the other little fittings. It's amazing how many little holes in the deck there are, little fittings. Grab rails were held on with bronze screws from the inside. That took some getting out. And these holes for the vents, they're permanent vents, they don't close, but they've got nice stainless covers on. And when these were put in, the vent is actually tucked under where the grab rail would be. So the grab rail finishes here, then it's the vent, and then there's another small grab rail there. So I've got to decide, I'm just thinking about what I can really do with that. Because if that vent was even 2 inches further that way, you could have a continuous grab rail. So I may end up doing that. And my original plan was to completely strip the deck of all the fiberglass and resheathe it. But having got this far with it, looked at it, there are patches that need doing, patches, but not possibly not the whole thing. I'm still kind of thinking about that. I've got a scraping machine. I'll get all this old paint off. It's on there good and thick, and sand it back, and see what I've got then. I don't want to make more work than is necessary. Certainly the sheathing part of this isn't really so much about the structural integrity of the coach roof. It's more to make it waterproof, I think, and I can do that just by coating it with epoxy, so we'll see. Really busy day today, really hard work. Tomorrow I'm coming to take this garage off, and I'll take that home and refinish it. I think it's been, well, no, it's been epoxied, and then not really rubbed down very well, and then varnished, and one way or another, I mean, that would have worked fine, but the water has got under the epoxy. You can see there it's lifting. But I think with these bits, I'll probably just leave those on and do around the outside of them, just sort of repaint and refinish. The boat is completely trashed, and I've reached that point really where the boat's more broken than it is fixed. And if you've ever done any maintenance on a boat, you know that's a pretty sort of depressing point to arrive at. This hatch, having conquered the forehatch, I mean really conquered the forehatch, I'm going to take this on this winter. I'm not sure whether the camera can pick that up. That's really lifted there, really lifted. I believe it does leak. And I wondered why, and I thought maybe that this was a veneer. In fact, I think if I get a torch, maybe that'll help. On the inside, the strips go in the other direction, and in fact, they're very loose. So that's the strip planking that you can see from the top, just there. So it's very, very thin. Not a hideous construction method, but obviously it hasn't worked because it's delaminated, you know, and it's delaminated considerably in many places. So that needs a look at. See if I can just get it on film. There it is. See that there? Just delaminate. So that hatch is coming off. I'm going to take it home, and I think I'm going to end up making a strip planked hatch with some Iroko, because it'll look absolutely beautiful, and instead of it being sort of two veneers laminated together, it'll be one solid hatch. I think that'll end up being lighter, actually, certainly stronger, and it won't leak. That's where we are. Oh. Ow. Open the hatch before you go out, you know. Jesus. Oh, that really hurt. No blood. No blood, I've got away with it. Yeah. Speaking of accidents at work, when I was doing the floor in the engine room there, because the hatch is as big as I sort of practically wanted to make it, I didn't really want a hatch at all in a cabin, a cockpit sole there, but it's a practical, you have to have it really, it's a practical answer. Anyway, so to get in there, I ended up with my knees in the back of the cockpit and my forehead rested on the front of the cockpit, so I could get both arms in the hole, like a little tripod, you know. So I get both arms in the hole. As you can imagine, careful as you are when you're epoxying things, sooner or later things go wrong and you end up putting a hand somewhere, even a gloved hand, and it ends up with epoxy there. Anyway, one way or another, I got epoxy all over my forehead and stuck my hair to my head. I don't know whether you can see that there or not. That was a week ago. It's still still stuck there. And now, of course, we've got a big bump as well.